Solo Self-Found. Why would you even bother playing it? And
Because this is the objectively better way to play the game. And you've got more replayability, and in general, it's just, you're just going to have more fun.
it's a pretty interesting
And also, who has friends?
topic. It is one that I think people will have their own personal view of, and I will give you guys my personal view of it. I think, you play video games however you wish, however results in you having the most fun. I am not one to judge, but for me, the idea of solo self-found in action RPGs has really revolutionized my appeal, my love for this type of game, and I kind of want to preach about it in a way because I kind of went through that conversion, and I think a lot of people haven't yet because they haven't really understood the
Uninitiated.
advantages. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about
People are incapable. It doesn't matter though. You can tell them all you want. The only way they can learn that it's objectively better and way more fun is by trying it. And once you get it, once that fucking switch is flicked, bang. Just understand. You can't. I don't think you can reason someone into it because it's like, well, I'm gonna make the game harder, and there's no benefit, and I have all these limitations, and then for what? Why would I want that? I want more loot. It's obviously better and more fun if I have more loot, and more money, and more currency, and just more everything.
the differences of playing just a normal PoE2 League or whatever ARPG versus solo self-found. And today I'll go over that, and also I'll give you guys a few tips if you
Less is more.
do want to play solo self-found in the upcoming PoE2 League or whenever, really. So ultimately, it kind of came down to I'm really good at trading in video games. You guys might know from videos well over a decade ago how I was making crazy amounts of gold in World of Warcraft. It was not just a World of Warcraft thing. I've learned to realize how a lot of game systems and their marketplaces work. And it's pretty easy to exploit. Some of the richest players in Path of Exile, Path of Exile 1 especially, they don't even really play the game. They just trade items or they offer mirror services, and that really results in the highest accumulation of wealth. It is an extreme case, but
this is the downside, by the way. This is why fucking Trade League sucks so much ass. It's the reason why people go like, you go Trade League, and I actually go Trade League, and I'm just out there trading, and then I spend all my time searching, and I'm spending my time looking at gear and doing because it's the most efficient way to play the game, and you make the most currency, and it's just the best use of my time. And then guess what? You make tons of currency, and people call it a handout. Can you believe that?
Offer an understanding of how it works for most people. Because most people, yes, they still go and play the game, but they also spend a lot of time looking up what items are available, for sale online, what kind of items they can sell, the prices. They're basically playing a part of the game that isn't so much gameplay as it is kind of like playing markets. And for someone like me, I've played so many games, and, even IRL markets, I know a few things. It's at a point where it is a bit samey. That experience that I get from doing it in Path of Exile 2 is hardly different doing it in any game that I've played in the past. And that is a big problem for me. It also is a big problem that how should I say this? It's a bigger problem in a game like Path of Exile 2 because there's a huge focus on like a new season or a new league. If you look at a game like World of Warcraft, there's kind of like the old hoarders of gold, right? So because there's people that just have hordes of gold because they've been playing for a long time, any kind of activity that you do kind of like siphons off of them. So it doesn't have so much like cutthroat, rat race type of situation as Path of Exile does, because anything you do just generates gold because there's just like gold lying around. Now, when there is a new seasonal reset in Path of Exile 2, it's certainly exciting. It's exciting to play, and trust me, it's plenty exciting to play, even if you don't engage with the markets. It just is exciting to play because there's lots of new stuff to do and experience. But because there is this economy reset, the entire game, if you wish to play optimally, becomes one enormous rat race.
It's like a new game of Monopoly. No, everyone loses. Instead of some bullshit where it's just a game of Monopoly that's been going for like 5 years and everyone's got tons of gold and all the rich fucking guys have infinite gold. You're never going to cash them, so you don't really try. So you just don't really give a fuck. Whereas in Path of Exile, it's like the board's getting wiped and everyone starts from scratch. And you could be the one who gets lucky and gets the crazy loot. You could be the one who makes the big trades. The reality is, dude, the same fucking few people are still going to get turbo rich way faster than you because A, they're going to spend a lot more time, and B, they have a lot more knowledge. And they're just going to they're going to mog the fuck out of you. They're going to mog the fuck out of you. You're still going to be the little poor boy. It doesn't even matter.
Because this happens every single league. There becomes activities that you do that are crazy profitable, and having really strong characters really early and getting into that often before it's
I don't get it. How is that fun, though? If you have the knowledge and you have the time and you know you're going to do it, how is that even fun? It'd be like going into an SSF league with a build that you've already established is going to be OP, a build that it's completely solved, everything's done, and you're just going to go through and do that and be like, oh, I beat the game, guys. It's like, congrats. Where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in that?
Results in incredible amount of wealth gain. So this results in a few things. The first is there is an incredible pressure on playing a very overpowered build. I see this as a downside because you often don't get to tailor what you actually want to play. Like if you are a minion enjoyer, for example, and minions do not seem to be very good next season, and by the way, they don't, well, you are going to shoot yourself in the foot if you try to play a type of build that you like, because you're going to have to play the really OP stuff if you want to be, kind of top tier, if you really want to play optimally. There is also a huge pressure on profitable farming. Now, this might be a bit of an alien concept to those that haven't played Solo Self-Found, but for now, let's just leave it with the example that we had in a previous season in Path of Exile.
It's real basic. In Trade League, whatever is the most money per hour thing you can make is the best thing you can do, because you can then trade that currency for whatever you need. Whereas SSF, you have to do a diverse...
Streamers should not be telling people...
You have to do a diverse set of end games and different things, because if you want to get that thing, well, it only comes with that mechanic. So you have to do that mechanic. Whereas you're shoehorned as a Trade League player, if you know a fast way of making gold, the best way of making money, then you've got to do that, because that's the best way. You're going to earn whatever... Like, okay, should you go do Delve and do Resonators and get them yourself, or should you just continue doing your Sanctums, use that currency, and just buy the thing that you want? And then the net result is you're just sitting there doing the same strategy over and over and over again, and you want to blow your fucking brains out, and the game's less replayable, less fun, overall more dog shit. Just more dog shit.
With the new temple that they
Facts.
had, and kind of making those like crazy long snakes, and just like basically pumping out divines. Basically, if you don't do that, you are going to be very poor. You're almost wasting your time even playing the game if you want to play optimally and kind of maintain a reasonable level of wealth in the game. And on one hand, that can be kind of cool because you're often engaging with, new mechanics. Not always, though. But
think about this, though, as well. Your spinning power goes down. If you don't do the thing that everyone else is doing that's OP and broken, then they all get wealthier, relatively speaking, and your currency that you have has less spending power, so you can get less stuff, relatively speaking. So you basically can't play the game as well and can't engage. So, yeah, you're getting cooked. You're getting cooked. You're going to get... Well, that's why you just opt out of the entire system, baby. You opt out of the entire system, baby. GG, noobs. GG, noobs.
in my opinion, this is also a negative because it usually pushes you very heavily into doing kind of like a singular activity. Now, to be fair, the singular activities in Path of Exile, they can have pretty rich levels of depth, so it's not like it's boring, but it's not like you're experiencing the entirety of the game. You're really hyper-focusing on one part of it. And there, of course, is an immense pressure on playtime. Like if you're doing the first two things really, really well, but you're not playing like, 10, 15-hour days at league start, well, the other guys that are going to be ahead of you, and often far ahead of you. And that is a little bit of a problem because a huge amount of wealth is gained in the early days if you have a strong presence in the factors that I mentioned.
True.
And there's another thing that I think is also a pretty big negative for me, that several game systems just kind of fail if you trade. One of those is the skill gems, for example. The skill gems offer a pretty interesting and meaningful level of progression in the game.
Bro, not even just skill gems. Not even just individual. Like I'm talking macro. The gameplay loop of the entire game, you skip the majority of it because you instantly get everything you need, all the various currencies you needed, all the crafted stuff, and instead of having to do all these different in-game activities and mechanics and different farms, you just get it. So the gameplay loop of finishing a character, collecting all the pieces, getting all the correct gems. You don't have to go like spec into this one thing and farm this particular type of boss to get this one lineage support gem. You don't have to go, whatever the fucking lead mechanic is that drops that specific item which has that specific mod. You just buy it, and guess what? 80% of your character's progression is just skipped, and you're at the end point. Which, by the way, chat, it's not about the end point. It's not it's not about the end point. It's not about actually completing and finishing your character. Is one of the biggest turnoffs. I don't know if you guys have noticed when I'm playing a video game, for example, the second I complete my character, bro, I want to basically commit suicide. I'm like, yo, let's fucking fight the Ubers. Like this is I've completed them to like 90%. I've got most of the stuff. Let's fucking go. Let's do it because I'm done with the character. Like, why would it's like people try and speed run being done to the point where they will literally entirely complete and fill every single item out, every single piece of gear before they've even created the character, which is the most backwards, brain dead, retarded shit possible.
Where you get a certain skill gem.
Because you're skipping your own gameplay loop. You're skipping the entire journey. Because you're so oriented at the destination instead of actually focusing like, wait, it's about the journey, baby.
And then, you kind of move up a few map tiers because you gain that much power, and then you get that type of skill gem. You go to like 18, then you go to the higher maps, you find level 19 skill gems. So you kind of like, follow the progression of the game. And trading many different ways. This is just one example. Really does kind of cheat that progression quite a bit. The idea that you often are pushed to do one mechanic is one that has been very true in Path of Exile's history. It's not one that I can point so easily as I can to the temple in the previous league, but it usually is a case where people find a very efficient type of farming strategy, and that usually doesn't engage with very much of the game. And when they find that efficient strategy, sometimes it's a combination of using like certain tablets or certain maps or certain builds or just certain activities, certain mechanics, whatever it is.
And also, it doesn't matter how degenerate or unfun it is. Like, even if it's like doing the most boring, you walk into a thing, talk to an NPC, reset, do it again. Do it. That will do it. That will do it.
You see a lot of videos out there, I did this and got this much divine per hour or something like that. It usually is like a hyper-focus method. So it doesn't necessarily have to be pushed within the game, but the game, how they naturally work, if you want to maximize your divines per hour, you are once again kind of in that trap of playing a fairly narrow version of the game. And if you do all of those things well, you actually encounter another thing that I would personally say is a downside, where very high rarity items actually become trivialized and deterministic
True.
if you are a highly efficient
True.
player.
Yep,
but also,
true.
if you are not a highly efficient player, these things can be totally out of reach. One example in PoE 1, there's a notable belt called Mage Blood.
Bro, this is just real life, by the way. This is just real life, but like rich people just basically complete cheese it and just get whatever they want and can do whatever they want, and they're playing on admin mode, and poor people just get fucked. And then the rich people gaslight you into thinking like, no, you want this, bro. Trust me, bro. You trust me, bro. You want this. It's way better. And you don't even actually realize you're the one getting fucked.
Which is why some people got pretty excited about the Mage Blood teaser that we got for this season. It is.
I'm the guy preaching SSF ethical, bro. Let me tell you. Don't get me wrong. It's fun to mix it up sometimes, and every now and then you fucking do a stupid Spurg out trade league, and it's super weird to do, and it's interesting. You know, every now and then, dude, fuck with it. But, dude, you are going to have a way better experience overall doing the SSFHC leagues because your journeys are just going to be that much more engaging. You increase duration, increase replayability, increase reasons to just do shit in general because it takes longer to complete characters in ways that it forces you to engage with many parts of the game that you otherwise wouldn't because you would just actually do the most meta-cuck farming strat on the most overpowered build, get all the gear, and then basically you're just playing item editor. Which is shit, by the way. You think you want item editor, but you actually don't. You think you want item editor, but you don't.
Suction.
You think you want to be able to get whatever unit you want like this instantly. No, you actually want to struggle to get that and get denied getting that for a long time, and then when you get it, it's like fucking coming, bro. Like, let me tell you, try get the Vermilion Ring over and over and over and over again, and then get the Vermilion Ring. And you will fucking nut, dude. You will nut.
A incredibly powerful item that power gamers pretty much just get a few days into each league, because if you follow the steps to success, that's just what you get. You get the powerful stuff. Someone's going to find a Mage Blood in the law of numbers, and if you are gaming the economy like crazy and you can afford the early versions of these items, you're just going to have them. But if you don't play under those kind of like restrictions, you might literally never get one. I have seen lots of Reddit posts about players who try to save up their divines for a Mage Blood, and what happens is the price actually outpaces their ability to generate that amount of currency, which leads to them literally never getting one.
It's just a completely one-to-one IRL, dude. This is just real life.
Because they don't play efficiently enough, and they just don't play enough.
And they got bad spawn RNG as well, dude. Some of these guys, they picked the wrong build, straight up.
That is also a very crazy divide. It's a feast or famine, and honestly, I think there's quite few people in the middle of that kind of playing both sides. Ultimately, the biggest thing for me is if you are like a veteran of the game playing in a trade environment, especially in an efficient trade environment, which we now have in Path of Exile 2, it really does kind of feel like cheating.
Dude,
where
the instant auction house, instant buyouts, like that made everything so much more accessible and fun. There's no weight and friction now, so it's just even easier now to just trade and trivialize the entire game. It's crazy because think about this, right? In Trade League, all you got to do is just loot a unique that is good or a currency item that people want, and then you can just trade that in for something that you need specifically now for your own character instantly, and you just get it. Whereas, you're doing an SSF environment, no, you have to find the exact currency that you need by doing whatever in-game is required to get that particular currency, and then you get what you need. Or if you want a unique, you can't just get a randomly good unique and then just trade it for one that you want. No, you have to get the one that you want. You gotta fucking farm it out. You gotta work for it. You gotta go on that journey, and then slowly get all the Infinity Stones to finally make that build, and then you get to pop off. Oh, when you pop off an HGSSF, bro, there ain't no feeling like it, Mo. It's the best feeling. Not on like an OP meta build that's just always popping off 24/7. That shit's boring as hell. I'm talking about some crazy, weird off meta shit, and you collect all the Infinity Stones. You figure out all the dude. You gotta try it, bro. You got it. The game mode forces you to have fun.
You just bypass rarity, you bypass RNG, you just kind of bypass tiers, bypass progression.
Yep.
You really just,
Yep.
you're playing with Game Shark, basically.
True.
Okay.
Admin
So,
mode. Admin mode.
The opposite side, the flip side. What about solo self-found? What's so great about it? So, I think one of the best comparisons that I can give to at least a good number of the people watching is playing solo self-found is a lot like playing the arena version of Hearthstone.
Oh, what the
You know?
fuck? What the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. What the fuck is he on? What is he even on? I have no idea what that is. Wait, I've played it before. Arena version is what? Every single person gets distributed a bunch of random cards, right? And everyone in the arena has access to those random cards, and then you have to make a deck from those cards, and then just do as best you can. And then the best people win. Is that how it works? So you can't spam buy packs to get the perfect cards to make the perfect deck, and it's super deterministic, and the outcome is the same. It's like dynamic, ethical. I think that's what it is. Okay, that's my understanding.
Your decks are going to be much weaker, but they're going to be quite interesting, and you're going to have to figure out how you're actually going to win with what you have. And in many different ways, you're going to have to think on your feet, and in many different situations, not just hyper-focused learning like one deck as you might in Constructed.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that. So what does that mean for actual Path of Exile or ARPGs? So the main incentive in solo self-found is to play the game. That's pretty much it. Okay. If you want your character to be stronger, what you have to do is play the game.
What?
You have to go and do content and kill monsters. Okay. You have to play the game in order to progress. You have to play the game in order to have your character gain power. You have to play the game to get, the highest rarity drops.
True.
You cannot hyper focus on a singular mechanic, because if you do, you're just not going to obtain the multitude of items that come from the other mechanics. For example, if you have a crazy profitable delirium strategy, well, yes, that's great and all,
Bro.
but how are you going to get things from Breach?
Like literally, anyone who watched my Path of Exile last league, every single day I had a new atlas that I was crafting that was bespoke, and I was doing a new strategy. Because it was a different thing that I needed from a different mechanic. Dude, that last PO1 league was so good, by the way. The way they added in all those fucking gems that only drop from specific things and specific bosses and specific end games. Such good design. Because it forced me to do, every day, my end game was different. And the thing I was doing was different. And the whole time I was going, I would seek to achieve a goal, and there was a method of getting there, and I had to go down and do this new thing. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I hated doing the delirium. No, actually, I hated delirium, but I did it, farmed it out, got the shit, ended up getting the ascendancy node that I wanted from that. And it was a fucking. And after I completed the journey, after I killed Croesus and I ascended, felt fucking amazing. Let me tell you, and it was every day something different. The game, because SSF forces you to do that, and guess what that does? You don't do some monotonous shit. You don't log in and be like, I'm going to do the same exact strongbox strategy over and over and over again. I'm just going to do the same layout, the same map, doing the same thing. The SSF forces you to do stuff that's more replayable and more fun.
Just not, right?
If you play trade, we don't need to do that. You just do the most efficient thing that's going to get you the most economic value, and then you just trade that for what you want. And if you change and farm something else, you basically get an idiot. You're a retard. Because you could have just farmed this other thing, which is more profitable, and just bought exactly what you needed. Right?
If you want things from Breach, what you're going to have to do is Breach. You have to play the game. And that means that you really experience the fullness of the game. The incentives are actually set up correctly for you to enjoy the game because you will have to engage with all aspects of it. That's really the key. And that is one that has really kind of changed my view about the game mode. You know, I was a little bit skeptical when I saw players doing self-imposed SSF many years ago in Path of Exile 1, but this is kind of like the moment that clicked for me. So let's kind of go over some of the big
I
down.
wouldn't say you need to do all, by the way. Like you have to engage with most of the systems, though. But yeah, because there was plenty of systems that I said I'm just not doing that. I didn't do a single fucking expedition. There's so many things that I just didn't do a single one of. Because I'm just like, do you know what? Fuck that. I don't care. Even though there's like a slight upgrade I can get from that. Just shit gameplay, bro. Not gonna do it.
Sides from playing trade and see how they work out in solo self-found. So is there a lot of pressure on playing a really OP build when there's a new season? There is still some pressure. That is actually true. You can't really get away from that because your first character is kind of the one that opens up the ability to get good items, right? And you want to kind of access the good items still fairly quickly, right? So you
don't want to ruin your own SSF run though. Like what, dude? When you see like, dude, when CZ Rang goes in to SSF and he plays the most broken shit you've ever seen, right? The most broken shit. He's got like 50 specters. And they're obliterating every single fucking monster on the screen before they even get to do an animation. The boss never does a mechanic because they just die like this. And he's just running through the game. And he farms out like fucking 20,000 divines and every single unique. And you get to the point where, and then you're like, I'm gonna make a new character now. And there's no struggle, and you have infinite currency, and you've already got all the uniques. And it's like, well, what are you doing? You can definitely ruin SSF as well, in my opinion. It's kind of like the way. Imagine if you could just play. Imagine if you're playing Elden Ring, right? And you went on the most overpowered caster build possible, and just went through, just zapping everything, and you could just farm souls for your next character, and you could just farm all the gear for your next character, and then log on to that new character, and he's instantly level 99, best stats, and you just kind of cheese everything. And it's like, well, you're just cheesing everything the whole time. What are we even doing? You want to go in with a shit character. You want to go in with a ZDPS dog shit build that's untested, unproven, you don't know if it's going to work, and you want to fucking struggle, bro. And then you want to fucking die. You want to die. Because trust me, bro, if you fail, well, guess what that does? Creates motivation for the next build. Okay, because I'm next build. I'm going to do that same thing with this, except I'm going to change it because that was wrong. And that didn't work out, so I'm going to change it. And then you do that, and you go in again. Die again. Okay, sweet as. We go back to the drawing board. What worked, what didn't work, go back in again. Die again. You keep doing it until you get to the point where, bang, guess what? You start killing in-game bosses. You start owning. You start farming. Die again because you fucking died to what did from an exile. Some bullshit kills you. You finally get the Vermilion Ring. You're about to get the Void Shockwave. You die again. You die again. And then you go again. And you go again. And each time, you get further and further and you struggle more, but you grow as a human being. And then when you finally succeed, it is orgasmic. It is fucking divine. A transcendent experience. Unparalleled. Okay? Because you were getting cucked for so long. Okay? And it's amazing. And then do you know what? It's a really good... At that point there, you've peaked and you just quit. And then you say, all right, GG. Nice. That was one of the best journeys I've had. And gaming in general for a long time and across any game. And then you quit. And then next league, you come back and do it again. And you know what? Next league, you might not be feeling it. Whatever. Then come back another league later. And anyway, that to me is the peak way of playing the game. The absolute peak way of playing the game. 100%. And not going in playing an OP build because you're effectively just ruining it for yourself. If you go on playing an already pre-solved, already pre-overpowered build and you just shit on everything, I think you just ruin the league for yourself. Straight up.
Even if you're playing SSF, you don't want to play like a total jank build. You still want to have some kind of
Disagree.
plan. It might be a good idea to still follow like a build guide.
Fuck no. Just completely disagree.
But there are a few things to consider still. Now, in terms of profitable farming, there's almost no pressure for that. And I think the previous season, with the temple being so crazy, like in Trade League, people were doing 10,000 divine per hour or something like just like per day. I don't even know. It doesn't matter, right? Like infinity currency, basically. I had that in Solo Self-Found. I made a little snake temple of my own. Did I just play that? No, because again, as good as the temple was, well, I needed some catalysts, and I needed some breach rings. I needed some items from Ritual. So I still had to engage with the rest of the game. In a case where one mechanic was so unbelievably broken and rewarding compared to all others, I still had to engage with the entirety of the game. So I think that is pretty awesome.
Again, you don't. It's not the entirety of the game. You don't have to engage with the entirety. It's even as a SSF, you can still choose to skip. You just say the majority. We'll go with the majority.
Other one is there is minimal pressure on playtime. If you play less, you're going to have a less powerful character. You're going to find less stuff. But you're not going to encounter that situation where if you play less, you're literally never going to be able to obtain a Mage Blood without finding one.
1 second, chat. I need to pause to ban this guy. Shut the fuck. We just watched. Okay, wait. Lead launch? What do you guys think? I'm going to go, just into a little bit. 1 day into lead launch. You fucking bitch. Go fucking watch the video yourself. Pussy ass, bitch, pussy.
Actually, that part is kind of going to hold true in Solo Self-Found as well. But that's kind of the point. In Solo Self-Found, the power levels are lower, but that is actually a good thing in some ways, at least.
Makes the game more ethical.
One downside I want to bring up is Solo Self-Found does require more stash tabs. So if you have not purchased the additional stash tabs in Path of Exile 2, you might be a little bit hard-pressed to play Solo Self-Found because you definitely need some space. You still want some stash tabs if you're playing Trade League, arguably more if you're like a crazy hyper trader, but, it is what it is.
I'll be real, this never occurred to me. Didn't even think about this. I would consider, just don't be fucking poor, boys, okay, at the end of the day. Just don't be poor, right? Yeah, there you go.
Solo Self-Found also is what it implies in the the SSF, Solo Self-Found. You do not play with other people. This is a pretty big factor for some people. Some people really like to play with other people, and if you really like to play with other people in Path of Exile, you should do that. That's what you should do.
No, I think you do, but you actually don't. Like, when you realize how good it is playing it. Dude, when you realize, hey, if I play HCSSF, you don't have to worry about, like, that fucking retard. To be honest, it's not like World of Warcraft. But, like, speaking as a guy who played World of Warcraft for I don't know how long, and, dude, you had to just deal with these people with brain damage, and they would just repeatedly fail over and over and over again, and you'd just be like, fuck, man. Can you just move out of the fire? Can you just move out of the fucking fire? It's so nice knowing that if you die, it's like either just you or a bug, right? You know it's either just you or a bug. And there's no, which is a great feeling. It's a freeing feeling. Instead of feeling like you're being held back by other humans, you just like, okay, that was a bug, or no, that was me, and then you just fucking move on. It's so much better. Having so much social ability. I have plenty of social abilities. What are you talking about? I used to play, guys. My main game was World of Warcraft for the majority of my life. Okay. And I would, fucking yap with people. I would fucking yap all day on well, it was back in the day, it was Ventrilo. Ventrilo, bro. And Skype. That's what we used to use.
Okay. But for me, I just kind of
TeamSpeak
like to play
as
by
well.
myself these days. I've kind of grown into that. The other thing that I really like that I want to kind of throw in there is there's no real limit to endgame, and that kind of ties into the rare drops. Like, rare drops in Solo Self-Found are really exciting. Like, last league, I picked up a Mjolnir, and is Mjolnir a good item? No. But for like solo self-found, it's kind of like maybe good enough, and it really got me to thinking in like what I could actually do with it because it's such a rare item. It's an opportunity to play, a build I perhaps have not played
Yeah.
before. So that's
True.
that's really awesome.
True.
And yes, you won't get like the mage blood or anything like that, but ultimately,
Well, do you know what he's trying to say? Every single unique that you loot in the game in Trade League is not a unique. It's just a currency value. Whereas a unique in HCSF, it's not a currency value. It's actually a unique. And it's either net useful to you or not. So it's either going to sit in your stash and do nothing, or you're going to have the opportunity to make a cool, crazy, wacky build. Whereas on Trade League, it's irrelevant. You could just buy that unique, or you could sell a unique. So it's literally just a currency value.
you are going to have a lower power character, but there is a real beauty to that, in my opinion, because no one's going to carry you through content. No one is going to like sell you the item that you need to make your character 10 times more powerful. Having to kind of grind it out on your own at the end of the day just feels like a lot more rewarding.
Giga Shed.
And because of that, and because the power levels are fairly lower, there's really no cap to end game. Many times I've played a trade version of an ARPG or even Path of Exile 1. I've actually never played Path of Exile 2 trading, but of course, I watch streams. I know what's happening in the game. You sometimes experience that point where your character really cannot be meaningfully stronger, but you kind of want to keep playing it. You don't really want to reroll, but then you play it and it just kind of feels pointless because it's already the strongest version that the character could be.
Yep.
When you play in a trade environment, this is a point that you reach sometimes fairly quickly.
Dude,
if you are an efficient.
Motherfuckers complete it on the day that they make their character. I swear to God. This is like half of all people fully complete their character before it's even made, and then they just log in and it's fully done. And they don't even realize they think they're winning, but they're actually losing.
Player. And if you're someone that likes to roll new characters all the time, this might not be a problem whatsoever. But for me, I kind of get attached to some of the characters and builds that I play. And in solo self-found, the limit to like peaking in power and peaking in gear and peaking in everything, it's just so distant. And because I have to earn it to get there, the progression always feels good, and it takes me a long time. Like, there's actually been many leagues where I just play one character. Several characters and some others and lots in others. But, I can play a single character league and feel satisfied and actually play for like a month at a time, for example. So it is very big difference in playstyle. And hopefully I've offered you guys a little bit of understanding. Now, for those of you that are interested in solo self-found, I do have a few tips, especially if you have not tried it before, I would say. So again, you definitely want to start on a strong build, at least a pretty strong build.
Nah, start on a shit build. Nah, I disagree. The more zero damage and the more shit it is, the better. Okay, straight up. Like, the earlier you die and the more you are denied the reward, the better. Like, I mean, you don't want to... Obviously... You want to die the maximum possible amount, and you want to fail the maximum possible amount where you don't quit the game. And then if you get to that point where it's just too hard and you're dying too much and you're like, fuck this, and you quit the game, well, that's obviously not worth it at that point. But you want to be maximally getting cucked, okay?
But I think it's also important to start on a class that has the potential to play lots of different kinds of builds. And this is because you might get a Mjolnir, basically. You might get a really cool rare drop, and you might want to actually use it. You might not want to make an entirely new character, The Path of Exile 2 campaign, some people love it, some people do not.
A pussy beta micropene cucks.
Not love it. Okay, and the thought of going through it again for an alt is not a pleasing thought for some people. So, believe it or not. Having a character that can pivot to
so you think you want to skip the campaign, but you don't. And even if, okay, that's straight up. Straight up.
Wide.
Like, the campaign is the strongest thing in Path of Exile 2 right now. Like now, hopefully in point 5 that changes, and it's going to be like, oh, the campaign's like a different type of gaming, which is static, and there's set bosses, and there's set checkpoints, and there's shit measuring sticks. Where you get to check your character, and you get to feel the progression. And you're like, man, I melted that boss compared to usual. Or man, I got fucked compared to that usual on that boss. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a measuring stick to just measure your cock against as your build's progressing, and as you get different utilities, and as different parts of the build come online, which is entirely different to the in-game gameplay loop, right? And then that's like the intro little tutorial where you're doing all the testing, where your character's evolving, you're doing all this stuff, and then you get to the end game, and you've got no fatigue for the end game because you've been doing the campaign. You're like, now I'm at the end game. Now I can fucking start that shit, baby. It's one of those things where you don't realize, but you actually love the campaign, Jet. You love it. You love it.
Variety of builds is pretty important.
You love it.
And I just kind of want to point that out that monks, they generally have limited options. They're pretty good with like...
If you want to instantly skip the campaign, log into D4, and then like the game starts off, and you press the skip campaign button, and then it's just instantly your character's there, and then it's like, do a Helltide. And you do a Helltide, and then you're like, okay, I've done a Helltide. And you're like, all right, I'll do another Helltide. And then, oh, what? Oh, wow, this is the whole game? Actually, do you know what? There's more shit to do, actually. They actually have Pit now. The Pit... W Blizzard, dude. Give me keep expanding that pit out.
Attacks and like triggered skills, but it really falls off pretty hard after that. There are some options, and yes, some options maybe with like minions, but like, yeah, I don't know. Sork is also quite limited, a little bit less so now that we got the Chrono buff. I quite like playing Chrono, but still fairly limited, because if you don't want to play something that involves like Energy Shield, you kind of have to go really far, and that becomes a bit of a problem. I also think that the mercenary class is fairly limited. Again, maybe a little bit less so because it seems like they're buffing the gemling, so maybe not too bad. But there's certainly some big winners out there. Like Witch is just incredible. Between Lich, Abyssal Lich, and Blood Mage, I don't even know anymore. But Infernalist, you can pretty much play any build in the game. That's just like the full range of it. If you want to play Warrior, Titan can pretty much play any build in the game because of the efficiency in the 50%.
And you get a backpack. But I must admit, like, dude, I'm going to play the new Monk Ascendancy, obviously, but, like, fuck me. That Titan, bro. Oh my God, the Titan, bro.
Node being so crazy. So there's definitely some big winners in that, and I certainly do factor that in when I am playing in a new league. I typically want to play something that is very flexible. I guess another one that is also very flexible is Druids, because the Oracle has just like incredible availability to a variety of nodes and extreme efficiency with the I think it's Unseen Path, I think it's called. So that one is really good. Another one that I want to kind of point out is in Trade League, especially if you play with other people, you often can just focus entirely on damage. In Solo Self-Found, you cannot do that. You really want to play a character that is well-rounded, that has good damage, good clear, and good survivability. And honestly, I would even aim for great survivability, because you really don't want to lose out on content.
I mean, you should be playing hardcore, right? Oh, you're a fucking pussy. Okay, so you need survivability for hardcore. Are you a pussy? Are you a pussy?
Because your character dies, because you can't cheat those things. If your character dies when you're running an extremely high value map, you can't just trade for another one.
Do you know what, guys? Do you know what? I like that. If you play softcore, but then you play a build that's really ethical and super shit, I respect it. Because you can kind of play the game like Dark Souls at that point, right? You can kind of go into bosses and die repeatedly, and then fucking figure out the mechanics. Like, legitimately, when it comes to learning boss mechanics, like, that is the fastest way of doing it. And you're gonna have to get mechanically good at the game to like beat certain bosses and do certain things. So that is good. But if you play an overpowered meta-cuck build and soft core, it's like, dude, you don't need to keep being in the closet about having a micro pain, bro. Just come out. It's okay. Let us know.
Have to
Let
find
us know.
another one, and that might take a really long time. So survivability on your character is absolutely something you need to factor in, and that can in some ways look like a limitation on some builds, but I would say that all builds can skew into survivability, especially now that we have armor and evasion buffed on the skill tree and on the items. There are options available. It's just that a lot of people who play in trade leagues literally just ignore them. So there is that. In terms of kind of your goals when you're starting out playing solo self-found, the main thing that I would aim for is to get to high-tier waystones, like high-tier maps. And it's okay to kind of burn through all the currency and stuff that you get in order to get to like tier 15. If you're not at tier 15, it's okay to burn pretty much any currency that you find along the way for character power and progression speed, because you really need to kind of climb the character power to get there. But once you get to the highest tier waystones, the highest tier maps, you are able to get very good base items, and at that point you are able to get like the good gear basically. So getting there is really important. Once you get there, I actually like to be a bit more conservative, especially with the higher rarity currencies and items that I get. Like I might be a bit more choosy with how I use like especially perfect transmutes and things like that, even on the lower end of currencies, just because at that point you are starting to find items of very high potential worth, and you kind of want to get a few freebies, especially at the start. And it's best to not dump too much of the high value currency immediately. Again, is my experience.
I need to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do about loot filtering base types in PoE 2, because I forget. Like, I've done so little in-game in PoE 2 that I don't even know, like, what... In PoE 1, you start off by having, like, the armor types that you like with your defenses, and then as you get to higher tier and you start getting more and more loot and you've got some okay gear, then you just start turning off the shittier base types to the point where you just have the GG ones enabled and everything else is turned off. But then I don't know what the strat is in PoE 2. It's like it's a base type super rare, and should I need to keep the old ones on, or is it just the same shit? Just do semi-strict and then strict, so on and so on. Yeah, but I don't want to see like all the ES bases, and I want to see all the all the cuck bases basically. I only want to see the Giga Chad armor bases. I'm probably gonna go armor evasion myself. I'm thinking about doing an armor evasion monk. When I haven't actually, I need to play the monk more to just know like if I can even do that. But hey.
Another one that I like is trying to not spend gold until hitting certain breakpoints with gambling. So the reason why gambling is very powerful, especially in solo self-found, is because you are able to get a lot of items that are otherwise just extreme rarity drops. So like jewelry, for example, really doesn't drop very often in Path of Exile 2. It's kind of like Ruthless in Path of Exile 1. And most characters are going to want an amulet with +3 to skills. This is an item level 75 affix, which you can gamble regularly, I believe, if you're over level 90. I think you want level 91 just to be safe. You can just check the item level, because maybe this is something that changes in the future as well. But the idea being that if you're playing solo self-found, you can't just buy a +3 amulet from someone else. You have to get one. How do you get one? Well, you have to find efficient ways to get very high rarity affix.
Plus skills is a crutch, bro. I don't use that shit. Straight up. I just get Thorns damage, bro. Fuck that. Do I even get +3 on my... I don't get any plus skills on my amulet. I just got Thorns, bro, on my belt. I just got Thorns.
Is on a rare base. Well, gambling gets you a lot of those bases, and that's kind of the beauty of solo self-found. It's on you to kind of figure out these puzzles and to figure out how you can actually obtain, the high power, the high influence items to make your characters into, that true peak performance. Very cool part about the game that really gets trivialized in many ways in Trade League, at least in my opinion. Another thing that I really like to do when I play solo self-found, now this is one for the people with lots of stash tabs probably, but there is the 3-to-1 recipe that you can use, and it is often used by players for like upping waystones and that kind of stuff, but I really like to use it on items that have rare bases. So for example, jewelry. All those amulets that I gamble, I don't just like throw them in the garbage. I pretty much just try to keep them and 3-to-1 them. Now the 3-to-1 recipe in Path of Exile utilizes...
That's fucking try hard, bro. I'm vendoring that shit. I'm fucking vendoring that shit. I've never 3-to-1'd. Oh wait, maybe I have. Is there like a little X and a stone in your hideout you click on and you put some shit in there? And then you press a button and it comes out? Yeah, I think I have. I think there's like a little thing on my hideout to the right-hand side that I've done that on before. The Reforger. Yeah, I think it's like the... Oh, there it is! Yeah, it's like a... What is that? Yeah, that's what he's talking about, right? But wait, Reforging bench. I see. So you've got the... Yeah, so that's different to this. So this one's getting removed. This one here is getting removed. This one here is not getting removed. So they're not removing that. Yeah, no.
Is the lowest item level of your items as the new item. So you need to be careful with that. Like if you're trying to get a +3 amulet, you typically want to make them all rare because 3 rare ones will give you a rare amulet, 3 blues will give you a blue and as such. Now the idea is that if you're going to want to try to get from the 3-to-1 recipe potentially a +3 amulet, you only want to use amulets that are at least item level 75. But I do this recipe especially for jewelry, for rings, for belts. It's extremely good for jewels because you can't even gamble jewels. You literally have to find them. Well, if you want to find like 40% more jewels, you use the 3-to-1 recipe, and jewels don't even have an item level, so you can start hoarding jewels right from the start of the game. And this is going...
So you technically delete 2 and get 1. Because you put 3 in and you get 1 out, so you lose 2 but you gain 1. But then 3 out, yeah, true, okay.
Going to be...
Because if they're bricked and they're shit, they're bricked and they're shit, right? Thing is, I'm an enjoyer of just having a big quad tab full of jewels, and I just type in a stat that I need for a build, and then it's like, these are the ones that I have with that stat, and I can try craft that. I'm just a different archetype. I'm the 12%. I'm the 12% archetype. He's out there destroying. Wait, he must be 12%, bro. This guy must like. It must be at least a bit.
Especially powerful in the upcoming season where we get new base types from like the breach mechanic, the tree mechanic, let's say. There's going to be like crazy amulets and that kind of stuff. And there's going to be things like, for example, there's going to be the amulets that have 2 instilled nodes on them. And if you get 3 of those, it's kind of like getting a free one, right? So there's some really powerful things that you can get through that system.
See, my brain would be, I'm too risk averse for that. I mean, I love taking risks all the time, but like, I'm thinking, well, what if I need those 2 affixes on that amulet for another build? Right? I'm thinking, what? Dude, that shit where people throw shit away, like, well, I'm completing this goal on this thing, and I'm going to, every single thing else, I'm just ignoring it. I'm just going to leave like chaos orbs on the ground because, look, I'm completing this other goal now. And I'm just gonna leave all that there. I can't do that. I gotta loot it all just in case for my next character. I'm always thinking about the next character. You know, I'm still clicking them, even if it slows me down and makes me less efficient. I don't give a fuck. I like that shit where, dude, if you watch like Ben playing and he just leaving, just all the shit you would want to pick up. But because he's so focused on the goal and getting to this one thing as fast as you can, right, to kill all the bosses, and then everything else is irrelevant afterwards, right? So then he's just like, well, I don't need those anymore. So I'm just not going to loot those, right? And it's like one of those things where, but that's an entirely different mindset, right? It's completely different. I'm thinking like, yo, I'm playing a shit build. I could die at any moment. The more resources I can build up in my account, the better. the more alternatives I can have, the more, because the thing is I have not pre-planned everything, so I don't know what my build's going to be. What if I need that shit in the future? And it's like to destroy something that, unless it looks complete dog shit, I'm not going to do it. No, well, I'm not saying that's. I'm just saying it's a different mindset, and I'm just saying I'm incapable of doing that mindset of, unless it's like the last day. Do you know what? If it's like the last, like if I can see, oh, I'm one day away from completing everything, and actually, in order to complete this, I need to just speed up, and I'm just gonna stop just looting all these things. Fuck it. But that's like 2% of my overall gameplay.
And in Solo Self-Found, you got to work for every single piece, and you got to try to get the most out of it every time. And that is the beauty at the end of the day. Hopefully, you picked up a few pointers, and you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next.
No, okay. Judging a trait you've never tried. Are you a retard? I'm saying, bro, my cooked brain. I'm the hoarder archetype. My brain doesn't want to ever do that. My brain doesn't want to do that, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying... When was I being critical of it? I'm saying I specifically am incapable of not doing that whole strategy. I want to keep all the stuff that might be usable. This is like an archetype of human, by the way. You know, you've got like some old gizmo that clearly... You know, some cables. I have like a bunch of old cables, just analog cables that are probably useless and you just don't need them. But I like to just keep them because what if someone brings in a VCR and they need some, just whatever, some old as fuck cable. Well, I've got them. I've gathered them up. It's called hoarding. Well, I'm not hoarding, but I'm not that hardcore where I'm going to, you know, my whole house is going to be... Eventually, I'm like, okay, I'm taking the piss, and I throw it out. But it's hard. It really is hard. You can't order stuff on Amazon in a day here. And half that shit you can't get. I threw away... I got rid of all my CRTs. Yeah, Crow's video, guys. Good stuff. I think overall agree with the complete majority of his points, and he's true as fuck. It basically forces you to enjoy the game way more. And it's one of those things where you think you don't want to play SSF, but you actually do. You just don't realize it. And you just gotta try it. You know? You just gotta try it. And when I say try it, I mean like actually try it. Like for a full league, send it, play it for at least a week. At least a week, and then you'll start getting hooked, and you'll start measuring against yourself, and you're not worried about all this, what's happening on the market, what's the most OP strat, all that shit goes out of your brain. You don't care. And you know that you're playing a challenging version of the game, and you know you're deliberately playing builds that aren't optimal, and you understand that, and you enjoy that. You're like, yeah, well, I'm playing a harder bit. It's like, do you want to play the fucking overpowered build in Elden Ring that just cheeses everything? Or do you want to play the fucking build that's like actually dog shit, but whenever you beat something, you're like, damn, that was fucking crazy. That was fucking hardcore. I beat the shit out of that thing. You know, and you'll feel so much more satisfied. But I'm telling you, your fun is directly proportional. Like overall, the amount of fun you're going to get out of a league will be increased by how shit your build is. And it's like a graph, bro. Let me think. How can I articulate this graph? So this is how, like, much fun you're having, right? This is how much fun you're having. And this is how OP your build is. This is how OP it is. And this is, like, net fun. It's, like, net fun. So, like, an OP build's going to be super fun for, like, a day. Don't get me wrong. And this is how OP it gets. And don't get me wrong. At the beginning, if your build's complete dog shit, you'll have hardly any fucking fun. Hardly any fun. And then, I want to say it's like fucking, dude, so much fun. The most fun. And then the more OP you get, it just starts dropping off. And do you know what's crazy is, this is the amount of net fun you're getting. This is the amount of net fun. If it was a resource, everyone's picking this build. They're all going, I want to be the OP build. I can choose the OP build. I can choose the... And look at the amount of net fun you're getting. Like, fuck all. You're getting hardly... Whereas you pick, like, an average build, you pick, like, a... You know, whatever... Okay, do you know what? Actually, it probably goes more like this, by the way. Do you know what? I need to change it a little bit. It's actually a different graph. It's probably like, yeah, it's more like this. I don't know what kind of distribution you call that. This is what it is, and everyone's picking this. That's closer right there. I'm telling you, because it's all about, and you're picking, and you're out here picking the OP builds. You are deliberately like, you could be picking just a good build, like you could be picking like a dog shit build, ultra ethical. You could be picking whatever, but you're gonna pick like the most overpowered build possible, and guess what? Your amount of net fun you're having is so low, bro. So low. You're cooking yourself. You're cheating yourself. And do you know why? It's because there's like this whole gameplay loop, right? And you're just saying, I'm going to play some most OP shit. So you have like all these things that you would need to do, like there's all these things on your journey that you would need to do, right, to pop off. Like, figuring out like how the build works, figuring out what items work well, testing uniques, testing various skill setups, doing all this stuff, again, obtaining gear, and you just basically say, oh, everything's pre-solved. I don't need to do any of this, right? Like, I don't need to test anything. It's already pre-solved. I already know it's OP. I don't need to do any experimentation. None of this. And you just skip it. This is all your journey. Your journey is just like saying, no. And then, I'm on Trade League, so I get exactly the uniques I want. And that's, I'm OP as fuck, so I get all the currency. And you just skip to, like, here. You just go, this is your diagram. Boop. And then you get to the end. You just immediately get to the end. And you're like, oh, I'm done. GG. And you quit the league. Whereas SSF, ethical build, do you know what HC, bro? Do you know what HE does? Do you know what HE does? So get this. So now you're playing SSF, right? So you've got extra little things you got to do. SSF puts extra things in. These are good, by the way. The more extras you get to do, the better. The longer and more interesting your journey is. Okay, now you're playing SSF, and now you're playing HC. So guess what? You start your shit. You're doing all this shit. You're having tons of fun. Like, lots of green tech, and you fucking die, bro. Ugh. Well, now you got to go again. Right, and you actually start from a different spot because you've got currency, you've got Atlas progression, and then you go to here, and then what happens? You fucking die. And you're getting ticks the whole way through again. You're getting to do those ticks a second time. Oh, fuck yeah, bro. Fuck yeah. Fun. Your net fun's going up. And then you do it again. And this is what makes HC better than not HC. It's because you get to have even more fun. And it's because you have like these hardcore punishments for dying, it makes when you succeed without dying that much more intense, exciting, and interesting. Subjective fun. Well, no. It's like, okay. So wait, it's having the most overpowered character possible, in the shortest time possible, the most fun. Okay, so what you should do is this. Okay, so you start off, right? You log in, right? Here, so you're logging in. You're logging in here, and then, okay, just RMT. All right. You RMT. Okay, cool. And you skip all this. You've just instantly got the best character in all the gear. And your character's done. And now, what? What's the point of even playing the fucking game? Because you're finished. Like, it's dog shit. It's retarded. It makes no sense. That's the extreme. The extreme of like playing the most powerful build on the most easy league with fully trading, doing it. You're bored. It's like almost RMT, but not. Full sending it would just be straight up RMTing at that point. Because that's, or hacking. Just hacking the game so your character's got God mode and just one-shots everything straight away. Like, you're having infinite fun, right? Because you've got God mode and you're hacking. No. It's fun for that'll be fun for a day to use cheats. If you've ever used cheats in a video game, think about it. What happens? You have a ton of fun for a short period of time. Okay? And then what happens? You get bored of it. It gets boring as fuck. It's stupid as hell. And you're like, log out. That's what happens. That's literally what happens. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. The harder the journey is, the more intense it is. The more you got to re-go. The more the more the better it is. the better it is.